What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Something a little different going on right here. First of all, uploading on a Wednesday. Crazy, I know. Before we start, I want to say that, my whole vision of being on YouTube was to give as much content to people as possible. And I've been doing very well at that for the past decade or so, as you've seen in the vlogs. But when the businesses started, it started pulling my attention away, and the vlog consistency went down. And now I'm still basically okay, I'm gonna make sure they get a vlog a week and a podcast a week, even though this week you didn't get one because I goofed on the files. But generally you get a vlog and you get a podcast. But sometimes I feel like the vlogs are too just entertainment based, right? And there's not as much value you can get out of them besides the entertainment, which I like. But I wanted to maybe try out this little Q&A potentially once a week, maybe on Wednesdays, where I kind of dive more into questions that are more broad rather than just, what kind of margarita machine are you going to get for the new house, right? So hopefully people can get value from this, and I don't know, it's just a little bit more content. And if you have a question that you would like to leave for maybe the next episode, if this does well, then just leave them down below. And, this doesn't take me that long. More content for you, hopefully more value. So it is what it is. I asked this on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, Max Tuning. It's basically like my YouTube, but not as cool. Okay. How do you go about making tough business decisions? Well, life is all about making tough decisions, And I think what you have to understand is that every day when you wake up, when you own a company, you are essentially trying to just put out fires. You're trying to solve problems, and you're trying to basically take the path of least resistance when it comes to issues and damage control, because there's always going to be issues. There are always going to be issues, but you're looking out for the longevity and stability of the people around you, the employees, the team, the culture, and the company. And then hopefully at the end, there's some left over for you to continue to succeed as well. But when you start having employees, the business goes from just being about you and, lining your pockets to providing careers and longevity for those around you. But in terms of tough decisions, you'll go through them a lot. Let me give you an example of a very tough decision that I had to make that is, something we've all experienced together, and that was changing manufacturers for sour strips, which we are 99% converted over. Basically, this was a huge decision that took me about over 2 years to line up and start the process of. But basically, I had to come to the decision that the business is scaling too fast, and the costs and the capacity of the old manufacturer were not able to be sustained. So I had to basically ask myself, do I slow the company down, or do I potentially go into debt, because to scale the company at the level that we're doing and the costs that we need to sell it at to a lot of these bigger retailers we're getting into, we couldn't sustain it with the cost of the new manufacturer. So when I switched, I was like, it's a whole different product now, right? It's a whole different product that we, made to be as great as we possibly can. And, I think they're at a really good place now. I know we got off to a little rocky start, but I think the feedback has been fantastic. And, this was a tough decision to switch an entire brand that people have been associated with for the past 4 years to something completely different. But what I told myself when this happened, I basically said, look, I'm a candy connoisseur, a fanatic, right? So here's how I would react if a product completely changed that I loved. I said, it's going to happen one of 3 ways. I said, people are either going to, number one, go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is so much better. I love it. That's the goal, right? Number 2 would be, oh my gosh, I hate it. I never am going to eat this brand again, and I'm out, right? And that, we hope, is a very small amount, but it's going to happen. And then number 3 was, hey, okay, I understand this is new. I kind of prefer the old one, but I'm fine with this being the new one. And, it is what it is, because that's how I've kind of dealt with candies over the years that have changed, or products that have changed. I'm like, okay, maybe I did like the other one a little bit better, but I'm fine with eating this. So I knew it was going to happen one of those. That was basically what I said. And I said, I'm leaning on the side of it'll be okay and people will adjust to it and kind of, move on. And that was a huge change in the company. I mean, to change that, right? But we were not going to be able to afford to keep the company running, to keep expanding the company, to provide more jobs. We weren't able to keep up with the demand, so I would have to limit the company, and we weren't able to expand into all of the future products that I wanted to do. So if I wanted to keep the company at a one single product, just sour belts, right, that we call sour strips, I had a tough decision, right? And it was a huge one. So I knew there was going to be some pushback, but I said, hey, this is the best choice for the future of the company, for the future of my employees, for the future of myself, and is what needs to happen. It's not going to be an easy transition. There's going to be some resistance, but I think in the long run, it'll be okay. And so far, we're on the right track. So yeah, I think life is about tough choices, and it does not get any easier in business. Best credit card personal use. You guys know my opinion on credit cards. I'm a huge credit card advocate. Now, there are many individuals. I think I was going to say Gordon Ramsay. Dave Ramsey is a huge advocate of not having any credit cards, and the argument is, you'll spend more because you have the ability to spend more. You'll go into debt. The snowball thing will happen. So it's best to just avoid all temptation, I guess, and possibilities of racking up a bigger bill, because you won't have that as an even possibility if you just go with a debit card. And for a lot of people who don't have the discipline, I guess, or the maturity even, I don't know if that's a too extreme of a word, to handle themselves with a credit card, then maybe stay away from them. But if you feel competent in your ability to manage your budget and finances and have self-control, then I think the credit card is a great tool. And as much evil as as is probably in the credit card system of why they're giving you all these perks, because hopefully they make their money from people not paying back their debt, right? So the goal would be to not be one of those people. So with all that being said, I personally love credit cards. I've been using credit cards for a very, very long time, long before I was on social media. And I think that if you can just treat a credit card like a debit card, meaning, when you have a debit card, it's drawing straight from your bank account, right? So when you buy something, it's being drawn from your bank account. Hopefully you know how much money you have, and if you can afford it. But with a credit card, it's kind of like you have a $10,000 limit, and let's say you only have $5,000 in your bank. Oh my God, I can spend $10,000. No, Becky, you can't, right? It's having that self-control, and it doesn't get pulled out of your bank account until a little bit later. But if you can manage all that, they're a great tool, because you can get either points, cash back, or miles, right? And all of them have their pros and cons, but it's just kind of what interests you the most. If you fly a lot, maybe miles, even though with points you can convert them to miles, and with dollars you can convert them to miles. So I don't know. I really prefer cash back on everything. So with all that being said, the personal credit card that I've been using the longest would be the Quicksilver Capital One. I'm not affiliated with any of these companies, but the Quicksilver Capital One is a great credit card where you get 1.5% cash back on everything. So essentially you get a 1.5% discount on everything. And if you ever want to get used to just adding a credit card in, because it'll build your credit, but you could get a credit card and take your cell phone bill, for example, just your cell phone bill, put your cell phone bill on auto pay to pull from the credit card, and then set your credit card to auto pay every month, which you should be doing in general, auto pay it, and then just throw that credit card in a drawer, right? And start there. So then you're just building credit. You're accumulating a very small amount of points or cash back, but you're getting used to the whole credit card system. But at the end of the day, if you just think of your credit card like a debit card, and you just are only buying things that you can afford, I see nothing wrong with credit cards. But again, there are a lot of people that cannot control themselves. And if that's you, then maybe stay away from it, or think there's a deeper rooted issue as to why you're having these problems. When used correctly, a credit card is a great tool. So yeah, the Capital One Quicksilver is probably one of my top recommendations for people like myself. I'm not giving financial advice. I do know that Robinhood is coming out with a 3% cash back on everything card, which I will be getting. and I'm very excited about it. Whether it's interests you, I don't know. Whether you like Robinhood, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, really, any credit card is probably better than others, but you got to have self-control. It's a powerful tool. How do you deal with competitors, especially when they have copied your ideas? Listen, in business and in life, and especially on TikTok, everyone's just kind of copying everyone else. It's very rare that one of us, as much as cool as you guys are and as cool as I am, no one is really reinventing the wheel. You know, it's kind of like when, I watched a video the other day of like when hard seltzer came out, right? You never want to be first to the market. You want to be the one that lets someone else do all that marketing. You know, it's like when seltzers came out in the late 2010s or whatever, when like White Claw first came on the scene, right? Seltzers weren't really a thing. So White Claw had to put all the research and development. They had to teach all the people about what seltzers are in the whole alcohol world. And then what do you know? You know, the market started growing, and then you had all these other brands, Truly, Vizzy, you know, then you had the High Noons way later and all the different brands. Now you have, you know, Bud Light coming out with their own seltzers. Everyone has a seltzer, right? But White Claw was probably one of the early adopters and had to go through all that. Then everyone else is like, oh, the world needs this thing. The world wants this thing. How can I make my own twist on it, whether it be from branding or taste or, you know, adding some other benefits to it? At the end of the day, unless you're literally inventing something new, a new food, a new technology, a new service, most people have already kind of done it, right? But what you're trying to do is differentiate. And differentiation comes in a lot of different factors, right? It could be something as simple as, it really, like whenever you want to start a brand, you just look at like things that you already consume or buy or do, and you go, what do I wish was slightly different that I would enjoy more? This is what I tell everyone, because the chances are there's millions of other people just like you, not as attractive as you, definitely not as attractive as me, you know. And you're like, there's other people that would want this change too. And then you start down the rabbit hole of what those things are. It could be something as simple as branding, flavors, just something that differentiates. There's always going to be competitors. There's always going to be people that you're essentially potentially copying the idea, or that are blatantly copying you. But what sifts out the people that are going to make it the long run is the people that have passion about it. I just posted something on my story the other day about all of the copycat brands of sour strips. I have a whole folder on my phone of people that are just either ripping off my fruit characters, which are all trademarked, by the way, or just the name sour strips. I mean, for example, like it's like the candy is really a sour belt. Like it is a sour strip if you want to get descriptive of it, right? But 95, 99%, I always called them sour belts. When I go to the candy store, I was like, sour belts, right? But then I started calling them sour strips. I'm not saying I invented the name of sour strips, but at least in America, I never heard or saw anyone call them sour strips, or at least not on a large scale. Maybe, I don't know. But now there's a lot of sour belt companies coming out that weren't really here before, and they're referring to them as sour strips, right? Is it a coincidence? That they're calling them sour strips? No, it's not a coincidence, right? They're seeing the success that I have, and they're trying to replicate it, right? But what will separate, you'll drown in sorrow if you just are worried about all the competition, because there's always me competition. When someone sees that something you're doing is working and you're succeeding at it, they're going to go, me too, motherfucker, right? They're going to go, I'm going to do the same thing. But the difference is, hopefully you have a passion for what you're doing, right? There's been a lot of copycats that have come after sour strips, and they've come and they've gone, and they've come and they've gone, and they've come and they've gone. Or I sent them cease and desist, and they've gone, right? So there's a lot of these companies, but the reason I don't get stressed out after a new one pops up, all right, or some person comes out with something that is like heavily inspired directly by me. First of all, I'm flattered, right? But I go, I am in this shit 100%. Yeah, I like making money, but the whole driving factor of this business is not just to make dollar bills, y'all. It is to build this brand and this passion of candy that I'm in. So the people who are just doing stuff to make a quick buck, who are trying to replicate what you're doing, the probability of them being as passionate about it as you, hopefully, is low. So those people will drift away because they're not going to see the overnight success, right? And you know the hard work that you put in to build whatever it is. So you're like, hey, I know they're not willing to put in the work that I've done. And if they are, competition drives the market, right? Competition is good for brands. Competition it's something that makes all, a rising tide lifts all ships, right? The market will decide who is the victor, or, maybe the market can have multiple things. So I wouldn't stress too much about it. I wouldn't lose sleep over it, but I don't think you should, turn a blind eye to it. Next up, are these good? Do you like these? They're kind of business. I'm trying to go in depth. I don't even know how long we're going to make this. My goal is to have maybe like 5 to 7 questions and go more in depth, but I really should have timed this out, but I don't know. How long is it? What are we at right now? Oh, shit, we're at 16 minutes already. God damn, okay. Man, I'm really going deep on this. I'd rather give you more. Maybe we'll just answer like 2 more questions, and maybe you'll love this so much that you'll go, Max, dude, every week I need this. Dude's right in front of the camera. Go on the couch. Go over there. You can't see him. Speaking of dude, I just lost. Oh God, hope no. Not speaking of dude. I just lost my golden doodle Benito last January. Advice on how to deal with that. Loss is something that everyone deals with in their own way, but losing a pet. Do you ever just stare at your dog or your cat or your fish? Maybe not. Do people get really sad over like a goldfish? I don't know. Anything that you love. Could be a piece of toilet paper that, I don't know. That was a weird analogy. Dealing with loss is tough, and everyone's going to deal with it in their own way. But like, do you ever I've looked at dude sometimes, and I think about the day that he's not going to be here, and I literally start crying. I think it's important to not take advantage of the fact. You shouldn't take advantage of the fact that the things and people you love, even dude who is literally licking your wiener. Dude, stop. Hey, no. You know the rules. If dad can't lick his own wiener, you can't either. Okay? Not to say it's never going to happen. Where is this going? Is to just spend as much time with them as possible and never just kind of take for granted that you get to see, love, hug, the thing or the animal or the person, right? And to enjoy the time and the happiness that you both brought into each other's lives. And there's no advice that I could tell you to how to deal with a lost animal or a lost one, but I think you should just make sure, hug your wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, kid, dog, fish extra hard tonight, and just know that whenever you're going, I don't want to go for a walk today. I'm kind of tired, right? There's going to be a time when you're going to go, I wish I could take this fucking dog for a walk one more time. I wish that I could spend more time with this animal. So cherish every single moment. And wow, I'm getting emotional just thinking about, God damn, dude, don't ever die. Please. Please. You'll never die? Great. Perfect. Okay. Let me do one more. Let's see. What do you decide to delegate first? Delegation in a business is something that every entrepreneur will struggle with because you'll want to do it all, or you'll think that everyone cannot do it as great as you can, and that's probably true because they'll do it even better because their focus will be 100% on that thing. But giving up your baby or the tasks that you love so much or that you value as a high importance in your company is very hard to do and take some time. So I think delegate when you can and when you're comfortable, but sometimes you just need to rip the Band-Aid off. And a lot of times I was hesitant to delegate even when Mono first came on board because I was like, I don't have enough work for them, right? They're going to be bored all day. But generally what I've found is when you have someone come in to do one single thing and you're stressed about filling up their time with other things, right? It just kind of naturally, organically works out how it should. There's going to be tasks that they're going to start developing, and before you know it, you're going to be like, oh my God, you're doing so many things. The first thing that I delegated out was packing orders when Mona first came on board, was packing orders and customer service. I don't like to say that it's like, delegate the least important things, but every person, whether it's you or you're an employee or just anyone that is working with you, everyone has a specialty, right? Everyone should be focusing on like 3 to 5, and this is going to change for each individual, but like 3 to 5 big things, and everything else you should be delegating out, and everything else that another employee outside of those 3 to 5 things, they should delegate out. You should hire someone for them, and so on, because when you start having your mind going in a million different directions, things are going to slip, right? And what you want to do is, like, I had Mona pack orders because I go, hey, I need to film videos. I was uploading like 4 times a week, right? I had so many things going on. I was trying to renovate the gym at District Barbello, and packing orders was something that I go, hey, this is like the least important thing on my plate right now in terms of like it doesn't take my specific skill set to do this task. Let me get someone else to do this task so I can focus on bigger things, right? I don't want to delegate things out just so I can have more free time. I want to, there's a balance to that, but like I want to delegate things out that are either slipping or that I am like, if you have something you're supposed to get done and 3 days go by and you go, God, I really need to get that thing done, you should be delegating that out, right? Because it's important, but it's not as important as the other things. So it's a tough aspect of business is delegation and knowing when to do it and doing it properly. And you're probably going to wait too long, and I waited too long, but you got to do it at some point. But I also don't like to pull away the things that I like to do. For example, I probably shouldn't be making the product documents for sour strips, but I actually enjoy making them. Maybe I don't make them as fast as someone who specializes in it could, but at the moment I enjoy doing it. Anything that I don't enjoy doing, I delegate out, right? Because not only are you going to give opportunities for someone else, or you can give, to come on to your company, but also they could level up in the company because they want more responsibility. Hopefully they want more responsibility. And that's how everyone wins, right? They're leveling up, they're making more money, you're promoting them. It shows other people in your organization that if, they stick with you, that they can have the opportunities to get more tasks and more responsibilities. And hopefully that's what helps grow your team and your culture and your business. So it's a tough one, but definitely delegate. It's so important. I had more questions, but I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Maybe about 20 minutes a week. I was thinking like podcast Monday, sit down Maxi Poo questions on Wednesday, vlog on Sunday. None of those are guaranteed, but maybe we can do them each week because this doesn't take me that much time. And hopefully I'm trying to choose questions that are maybe more business focused, that are more broad information focused, right? So that maybe you don't have a candy company, so you can't relate, but you can take the information that I discussed about my decision of having a monumental change with sour strips and apply it to what you're doing, or maybe you get what I'm saying. Hopefully you guys get some value out of this. And then, because the vlogs, I also try to give like business advice, but it really was like the last vlog. Like go to the last video, talked about my house, backflips, muscle ups. It was entertaining. It was a lot of fun, but I watch it back and I'm like, what the fuck was this, Max? Like, why do people need to see a 34-year-old man do backflips and eat tacos? It's $1 million question. So you get a little goofy, you get a little information, and you get a whole lot of dude. So that's going to wrap this up. If you liked it, smash thumbs up button. That would show me you liked it. Leave a question down below. Maybe I'll choose your question. Maybe I'll never do this again. Maybe it'll get no views. Who knows? Who knows? Thank you so much for tuning in. Eat more sour strips and ever forward. Woof. Dude, I think that was pretty good. I think they're going to like it. Or they won't. I don't know.